Mr. President,
hello.
what great honor, and pleasure to welcome you back to the Davos community. Just 4 days into your new mandate, we highly appreciate your presence with us today. We wish you all the best as you take on your critical work ahead. The global challenges we face today are monumental. The importance of American leadership and your personal leadership in this regard is fundamental and paramount. We are here to hear your vision and policies related to revitalizing the economy and addressing the global challenges. As you might expect, Mr. President, your return to office and your forthcoming policies have been at the focus of our discussions this week. The discussions among 3,000 political and business leaders from over 130 countries who came together here in Davos. We look forward to hearing first from you and then to the follow-up discussion with business leaders, moderated by my colleague Birge Brende. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. Before we start hearing what our President Donald Trump has to say, this video that I'm dropping, it's my first time watching it in its entirety. It came out earlier today. I just watched about 5-10 minutes of it, but I figured I'd make a reaction on it and we'd all watch it together. It's a little lengthy, so bear with me, okay? You guys got to hear from what other people are telling me what Donald Trump had to say. So I don't want this introduction to be too long, but I just want to thank all my new subscribers and all my subscribers here on YouTube and on Rumble. So don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around. If you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. Also, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, leave comments. It helps out with the algorithm immensely, so they say, but that's for another video. But without further ado, let's listen to our elected president of the United States, Donald Trump. Here we go.
Well, thank you very much, Klaus, and hello to everyone in beautiful Davos. This has been a truly historic week in the United States. 3 days ago, I took the oath of office and we began the golden age of America.
There you go.
The recent presidential election was won by millions of votes, and all 7, every one of them, all 7 swing states. It was a massive mandate from the American people like hasn't been seen in many years, and some of the political pundits, even some of my so-called enemies, said it was the most consequential election victory in 129 years. That's quite nice.
There you go.
What the world has witnessed in the past 72 hours is nothing less than a revolution of common sense. Our country will soon be stronger, wealthier, and more united than ever before, and the entire planet will be more peaceful and prosperous as a result of this incredible momentum and what we're doing and going to do. My administration is acting with unprecedented speed to fix the disasters we've inherited from a totally inept group of people and to solve every single crisis facing our country.
There you go.
This begins with confronting the economic chaos caused by the failed policies of the last administration. Over the past 4 years, our government racked up $8 trillion in wasteful deficit spending and inflicted nation-wrecking energy restrictions, crippling regulations, and hidden taxes like never before.
Yep.
The result is the worst inflation crisis in modern history and sky-high interest rates for our citizens and even throughout the world. Food prices and the price of almost every other thing known to mankind went through the roof. President Biden totally lost control of what was going on in our country, but in particular with our high inflation economy and at our border. Because of these ruinous policies, total government spending this year is $1.5 trillion higher than was projected to occur when I left office just 4 years ago. Likewise, the cost of servicing the debt is more than 230% higher than was projected in 2020. The inflation rate we are inheriting remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity, in particular with immigration, crime, and inflation. On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy.
Let them know.
I declared a national energy emergency, and that's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it.
That's it.
Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto.
Yep.
My administration has also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history, far exceeding even the record-setting efforts of my last term. In total, the Biden administration imposed $50,000 in additional regulatory costs on the average American household over the last 4 years. I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families.
That's it.
To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts.
There you go.
But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA. Already Americans' economic, you can see this, I think, maybe even in your wonderful, wonderful room that you're all gathered together, so many of my friends, but Americans, the economic confidence is soaring like we haven't seen in many, many decades, maybe not at all. Upon my election, it was just announced that small business optimism skyrocketed by 41 points in a single month. That's the highest ever. There's never been anything like that. SoftBank has announced between a $100 and $200 billion investment in the U.S. economy because of the election result. And just 2 days ago, Oracle, SoftBank, and OpenAI announced a $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure. Other companies likewise have announced billions and billions and billions, adding up to trillions of investment in America, in the United States. And it's also reported today in the papers that Saudi Arabia We'll be investing at least $600 billion in America, but I'll be asking the Crown Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around $1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've been very good to them. And I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it real quick, but he just came right out the gate. I mean, just feet flat, just running right out the gate, letting these people know what's going on. And this is the way you are supposed to stand in front of these oligarchs, okay, that come from all over the world, all these business leaders, and just let them know straight up off the bat, this is what we're gonna do. This is the way it's gonna be. Something that Joe Biden did not do at all. Okay. But they had all these businessmen, okay, from the left going to Davos and just giving America away. So far, I like what I'm hearing. Let's continue.
If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Right now, the price is high enough that war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price. You got to end that war. They should have done it long ago. They're very responsible, actually, to a certain extent, for what's taking place. Millions of lives are being lost.
You got that
With
right.
oil prices going down, I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the world. Interest rates should follow us. All over, the progress that you're seeing is happening because of our historic victory in a recent presidential election, one that has become quite well known throughout the world. I think a lot of things are happening to a lot of countries. They say that there's light shining all over the world since the election, and even countries that we aren't particularly friendly with are happy because they understand what there is a future and how great the future will be. Under our leadership, America is back and open for business. And this week, I'm also taking swift action to stop the invasion at our southern border. They allowed people to come in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It was ridiculous. I decided and declared to do, and very, very importantly, a national emergency on our border. Immediately halted all entry of illegal border crossers, of which there were many, and began promptly returning the illegal trespassers back to the place from which they came. That action, as you've probably seen, has already started very strongly. I've deployed active duty U.S. military and National Guard troops to the border to assist in repelling the invasion. It was really an invasion. We will not allow our territory to be violated. After 4 long years, the United States is strong and sovereign and a beautiful nation once again. It's a strong, sovereign nation. In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship.
There you go.
No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas. And frank,
just so you guys know, I did not stop that. I'll go back just a little bit. That was not me. Why that came up like that, who knows?
Which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly. With another order this week, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against the American people and, frankly, against politicians, and restored the fair, equal, and impartial rule of law. My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense. And these are policies that were absolute nonsense throughout the government and the private sector. With the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country.
That's it.
You have to hear that word, merit-based country.
I like the way he's laying this out because, in case anybody doesn't really know, a lot of these policies that Biden and his regime was implementing, these were policies that a lot of people say have been thought of by basically these tyrannical rulers around the world when they all get together. Case in point, like at a summit like this, okay, or whatever you want to call this, where they'll go and they'll start implementing policies and try to push them around the world, like DEI, censorship, okay, just to name those two, which are two of the biggest things that have been affecting a lot of people, not just in America, but in countries around the world. I love the way Donald Trump is just basically standing there on his own and just letting all these people know, okay, we're not going to do that anymore in America. We're not going to be censoring people. We're going to hold everybody accountable, and we're definitely not going to be hiring people because you people want to spread this agenda of division and hate and seeing color and race. And that can only destroy a country. But leave it up to the evil people behind closed doors, okay? These world leaders, the powers that be, since I always say it and many other people say it, that think that they can just go in and control, okay, the populace in any country, anywhere on the planet. Let's go Trump, baby.
And I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only two genders.
Yep.
Male and female.
That's it.
And we will have no men participating in women's sports.
That's it.
And transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely. Finally, as we restore common sense in America, we're moving quickly to bring back strength and peace and stability abroad. I'm also going to ask all NATO nations to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, which is what it should have been years ago.
Yep.
It was only at 2%, and most nations didn't pay until I came along. I insisted that they pay, and they did, because the United States was really paying the difference at that time, and it was unfair to the United States. But many, many things have been unfair for many years to the United States. Before even taking office, my team negotiated a ceasefire agreement in the Middle East, which wouldn't have happened without us, as I think most of the people in the room know.
Yep.
Earlier this week, the hostages began to return to their families. They are returning, and it's a beautiful sight, and they'll be coming in more and more. They started coming back on Sunday. Our efforts to secure a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine are now hopefully underway. It's so important to get that done. That is an absolute killing field. Millions of soldiers are being killed. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. They're laying dead all over the flat fields. It's a flat field farmland, and there's millions of Russians and millions of Ukrainians, and nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. It's time to end it. And here in America, we have big events coming up. Next year, we have the 250th anniversary of America's founding. I'm so honored to be president during that. That's been a big event. They've been talking about it for 10 years. We also have the World Cup, and I understand Gianni's in the room. Infantino, he was very instrumental in helping us get it. He's there with you someplace, I think, and I want to thank him for that. And then we have the Olympics coming up, which I was instrumental in getting also in my first term, and who would have known that by skipping a term I would get the Olympics? I was upset. I said, I got the Olympics to come and I won't be president, but it turned out through a stroke of luck, or whatever you might call it, that I'm going to be president during the World Cup and the Olympics and the 250th anniversary. So that's going to be 3 big events. And we've accomplished more in less than 4 days. We have really been working 4 days than other administrations have accomplished in 4 years.
Yep.
And we're just getting started. It's really an amazing thing to see, and the spirit and the light over our country has been incredible. Under the last administration, our nation has suffered greatly, but we're going to bring it back and make it greater, bigger, stronger, better than ever before. I want to thank everybody for being with you. I would have been there myself, except the inauguration was 2 days ago. I thought it might be a little bit quick to make it the first stop. But we'll get there one day. We hope to get there. But I do appreciate, I heard the audience is fantastic, and many of my friends are in the audience. And I will be taking questions now from some very distinguished people. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that very powerful speech. And I think you could hear the applause all the way from Davos to the White House. But next year it will be even better because then you can get the applause here in Davos. So we wish you welcome to our village next year. We hope to see you.
Thank you very much.
So we also know, Mr. President, that you open up for interaction here. We have a great panel with some of the most distinguished business people in the world. Let me start with someone that you know really well, that I think is almost a neighbor of you in in Florida. Mr. Steve Schwartzman, Chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Blackstone Group. So, Steve, floor is yours.
Well, Mr. President, I'm sure the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia will be really glad you gave this speech today. You've had the busiest 4 days that anybody can imagine, and congratulations for that. My question is about some of the things I've observed here at Davos. It's a terrific forum. I've met lots of people, as usual. I think I've been here 30 years. And a lot of the European business people have expressed enormous frustration with the regulatory regime in the EU, and they attribute slower growth rates here because of numerous factors, but especially because of regulations. And you've taken a completely different approach in this area. And if you could explain the theory of what you're doing, how you're going to do it, and what you expect the outcome to be, I'd appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations, Steve. You're a friend of mine, but on a great career. You have had an amazing career, and it continues. So I just want to congratulate you. Very inspirational to a lot of people. I want to talk about the EU, because you mentioned specifically that I've also had a lot of friends and leaders of countries. I've gotten to know them all my first term and a little bit during this period of 4 years, and know them well, like them a lot, but they're very frustrated because of the time everything seems to take to get approved, environmental impact statements for things that you shouldn't even have to do that, and many, many other ways that it takes. And I'm going to give you a quick little example. In the private life, my beautiful private life, before I had all these things happening, the world is a little different. I had a nice, simple life. You knew that. But when I had that simple life, I did projects. And I had a big project in Ireland. And it had to get approval on something that would have made it even better. And I got the approval from Ireland in a period of a week. And it was a very, very efficient, good approval. And they informed me, though, the problem is you're going to have to get it from the EU, and we think that'll take 5 to 6 years. And I said, you have to be kidding. And this was before politics. And I said, wait a minute, it's not that important. I don't want to go 5 or 6 years, but it would have been a big investment. It would have been nice, and it would have been good for the project. And I sent the people to the EU to see if they could speed it up, and basically it was a 5 or 6 year wait just to get a simple approval that Ireland gave me in a period of literally not much more than a week.
Unbelievable.
And I realized right then, that was the first time I really was involved with the EU, but I realized right then that's a problem, and I didn't even bother applying to do it. Or if I did, I pulled it very quickly. I have to be very accurate because I don't want to be criticized. He did apply, actually. No, I want to be very accurate. So I don't think I did, but if I did, I pulled it very quickly. It was just something you couldn't wait 5 years or 6 years to get an approval. So a lot of, in a very big business sense, a lot of people are claiming that's the problem. From the standpoint of America, the EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly.
There you go.
They have a large tax that we know about, and a VAT tax, and it's a very substantial one. They don't take essentially don't take our farm products, and they don't take our cars, yet they send cars to us by the millions. They put tariffs on things that we want to do. Like, for instance, I think they actually, in terms of, these are non-economic or non-monetary tariffs, and those are very bad, and they make it very difficult to bring products into Europe, and yet they expect to be selling, and they do sell their products in the United States. So we have, hundreds of billions of dollars of deficits with the EU, and nobody's happy with it, and we're going to do something about it, but nobody's happy with it. So I think the EU has to speed up their process. Friends of mine that are in some of the nations within the EU, great people, they want to be able to compete better, and you can't compete when you can't go through the approval process fast. There's no reason why it can't go faster. So, I'm trying to be constructive because I love Europe. I love the countries of Europe, but the process is a very cumbersome one. And they do treat the United States of America very, very unfairly with the VAT taxes and all of the other taxes they impose. One other, just to finish up, I got a call from the head of a major airline, one of the biggest airlines in the world, and he said, "Sir, could you help us? Landing in Europe is brutal. They charge us fees for everything, and it's so unfair." I said, "How does it compare to China?" He said, it's much worse. And the other thing, as you know, they took court cases with Apple, and they supposedly won a case that most people didn't think was much of a case. They won 15 or 16 billion from Apple. They won billions from Google. I think they're after Facebook for billions and billions. These are American companies, whether you like them or not. They're American companies, and they shouldn't be doing that. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a form of taxation. So we have some very big complaints with the EU.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We'll now go to one of your friends in the EU, Patrick Pouyanné. He's the chairman and CEO of Total Energies.
I just want to cut in real quick, people. Everything that he said, it's funny how so many people, especially the Democrats, say that Trump is going to mess up relations with the EU, that he should not pull out the Paris Climate Accord or whatever the case is, any pulling out of the WEF and all these other organizations. He just laid it on the line that even when he got into politics, he was trying to do business out in Ireland, and Ireland approved it, within a week. But yet the EU had to stick their nose in, and for whatever regulations, for whatever laws that they have, for whatever control that they feel that they deserve to have over Ireland, they basically told them, no, you're going to have to wait 5 to 6 years. And it's reminiscent, of the tactics that a lot of the Democrats use in America. Everything with them has to be a regulation. Let's just take case in point, California and the wildfires. Because of their policies and their regulations, farmers are suffering, people are suffering because their houses are burning down, all because their Democratic ways, they want to put regulations on the water. Going back to Lahaina, the way they did, they put a regulation on the water that one person was in control of it, that the water was more sacred than anything else. And it's like, you want to collect tariffs and money from different countries, but you want to do it without giving something in return. At least that's the way I see it. And it's like you want to line your pockets, and you make all these promises to the masses just so you could get elected, but you don't want to show anything for it. You don't want to help them. I mean, it's like the Green New Deal or what was it? The Build Back Better in America, collecting billions upon billions of taxpayer dollars, and all they did, Biden and his regime, was just open up organizations for DEI hires, to help bail out Antifa and Black Lives Matter when they were, out there causing havoc, putting money into organizations that was just left-leaning only. They didn't build any neighborhoods. They didn't build any new businesses. They didn't bail out any small businesses or even give like a one-time non-payable loan to somebody that had an idea to open up some small mom and pop shop. They didn't do anything like that. Okay, and now times that by 1,000, by 10,000, and that makes up the EU. They just want to collect money. They don't want to pay their fair share, and they rather have their people held down, and even business people, and make it seem as if, you know what they're doing is what's right and is going to help the populace move forward, and it's not. And I'm glad that Trump is out here saying all these things so that people could understand it. You know what? He doesn't have to go the route that he wants to if the EU, okay, and the powers that be would stop playing these damn games and stop hogging up all the prosperity and all the money and give it back to the people like they're supposed to do. People hire you, okay, in all these countries, and in America, you're supposed to give back to the people. Nobody gets paid just to do nothing. Okay, at least us poor folk. Okay, we got to provide a service and get paid for it. Now, this is something on a grander scale, and I'm glad that Trump is pointing this out. But let's continue.
I guess you have a question ready, Patrick, for the president.
Mr. President, as we understand, energy is at the top of your agenda, and it's an honor for me to represent the energy industry tonight in this panel. Total Energies is indeed the fourth largest oil and gas and electricity company in the world. I will not ask you a question about the oil price. It's quite clear what you expect from us. I will go to gas more. And our company is the largest number one exporter LNG from the US company. We are a strong contributor to, and we invest in a mammoth LNG projects in Texas, $20 billion. It's far from 200, but it's $20 billion. And we contribute with that to security of supply to Europe, as we export this LNG to Europe. Some experts fear that if there are too many projects developed in the US on LNG, this could have an inflationary impact on the US domestic gas price. And they recommend a pause on these projects. I would ask you the following question: what are your views about such a pause on investments on LNG in the US? What would happen if you would observe an increased domestic gas price because of these exports? And final question, which is important for Europe: would you agree to guarantee security of supplies of US LNG to Europe?
Well, on the last part of your question, yes, I would. I would make sure that you get it. If we make a deal, you'll get it. Because a lot of people do have that problem. They make a deal and then they can't get supplied because of war-type problems and other problems. So we would absolutely do that. LNG is very interesting because when I took office for the first term, one of the first things I looked at was there were two very massive plants in Louisiana, a state that has been very good to me, won it by many, many points. And I felt strongly indebted to it, actually. And they said there are two plants that have been under environmental consideration for more than 10 years. And they were costing, as you say, you know how expensive those plants are, but they were costing like 12 billion and I think 14 or 15 billion, but they couldn't get their permits. They were in review for years, many, many years, like a decade or more. And I said, it's so ridiculous. I know so much about that because in the construction industry, I had to go through it too, but I got good at it after a while. But I saw the projects, and you're talking about a total investment of 25 to $30 billion, and it looked like it was going to end. They couldn't get their permits, and I got them done in less than a week. It was done, completed. In fact, when they called them to announce that it was done, the countries, largely countries, Japan was involved and another country and some very big investors, they couldn't believe it. They actually couldn't believe it. And I said, just do yourself one favor. Don't pay any consultants, because the only one that got it done was me. I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S. and for the world, but the consultants had nothing to do with it. You know, the consultants go in and they say, give us millions of dollars because Trump did it. Nobody called me about it. I just heard it was a problem for years. and I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S. and the right thing to do for beyond. It had to do with energy, very important. So I think it's very important. I think I disagree with one. I think the more that you do, the lower the price is going to go.
Exactly.
And what I'd like to see is rapid approvals. We're going to give very rapid approvals in the United States, like with the AI plants. Talking to many people want to build them. That's going to be a very big thing. We're going to build electric generating facilities. They are going to build. I'm going to get them the approval. Under emergency declaration, I can get the approvals done myself without having to go through years of waiting. And the big problem is we need double the energy we currently have in the United States. Can you imagine? For AI to really be as big as we want to have it, because it's a very competitive, it'll be very competitive with China and others. So I'm going to give emergency declarations so that they can start building them almost immediately. And I think it was largely my idea because nobody thought this was possible. It wasn't that they were not smart, because they're the smartest. But I told them that what I want you to do is build your electric generating plant right next to your plant as a separate building connected. And they said, wow, you're kidding. And I said, no, I'm not kidding. You don't have to hook into the grid, which is old and, could be taken out. If it's taken out, they wouldn't have any way to get any electricity. So we are going to allow them to go on a very rapid basis to build their plant, build the electric generating plant. They can fuel it with anything they want, and they may have coal as a backup, good, clean coal. If there were a problem with a pipe coming in, as an example, you're going with gas, oil and gas, and a pipe gets blown up or for some reason doesn't work, there are some companies in the U.S. that have coal sitting right by the plant so that if there's an emergency, they can go to that short-term basis and use our very clean coal. So that's something else that a lot of people didn't even know about. But nothing can destroy coal, not the weather, not a bomb, nothing. It might make it a little smaller, might make it a little different shape, but coal is very strong as a backup. It's a great backup to have that facility, and it wouldn't cost much more money. And we have more coal than anybody. We also have more oil and gas than anybody. So we're going to make it so that the plants will have their own electric generating facilities attached right to their plant. They don't have to worry about a utility. They don't have to worry about anything. And we're going to get very rapid approvals.
Okay. You know what I find funny? That this man comes out and says that the more that Trump wants to drill, like he's been saying, drill, baby, drill, that is going to cause inflation. That right there, in my opinion, is one of the reasons why we have problems, not only here in America, but around the world, that you have companies that want to be in control. They want to monopolize everything. Trying to tell Trump that if you give up more permits, so like that more fuel is being pumped out, is going to cause inflation. Trump came on and said, no, it's not. It's going to bring the price down. And it's true in any business. Okay, in any business. And this is what a lot of the Democrats lie about to their constituents, saying that if we drill and we use oil and we use gas and we use this, number one, it's going to affect the environment. Number two, it's going to make prices skyrocket. How is that possible? Okay, you go to any store, okay, and let's just say that they're using they're making their own bags in order to put their products in. They're doing it by hand. It's costing them more to pay somebody to sit there, cut the paper out. Let's just use it for instance here. Tape it all up, draw out the emblem of the store so they can use it. Okay, to put whatever products in it. That costs money. But now you hire a company that can do that same bag in a machine and pump out 10, 20, 30,000 of them in an hour. That price that you was paying that one person to do it, let's say $15 an hour, for those $15, you just got 10,000 bags. And that's how fuel works. The more fuel you have, the lower the price goes, because it's not in demand. It's called supply and demand. But leave it up to one of these people in Davos to try to tell Trump, okay, we have one of the biggest companies, LNG, but if you give up more permits so people could drill more, it's going to bring up inflation. No, it's not. And I'm glad that Trump told him, no, I disagree with that. It's not. The more fuel we have, the cheaper it's going to be. The problem with these people, and this goes out to you leftists out there, that you say that Trump is all about lining the pockets of the super rich. This guy's super rich. Trump's not trying to line his pocket. Trump is trying to tell him, you know what? No, I'm trying to lower the prices for the people. You guys are going to make your money no matter what. Instead of you making 10 billion, you're going to make 8-9 billion. And that's the bottom line. The problem with these big oligarchs, they want all the damn money, all the damn power, and all the control. That's exactly what it is. But let's continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
I'll go to another CEO that you know very well, Brian Moynihan, the CEO and Chair of Bank of America.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and congratulations, and obviously an eventful week for you and your family. If you remember 5 years ago, you came here and we walked among 150 CEOs from all over the world, and you engaged with them about your policies and your procedures. This year you're not here, and yet this week was eventful from the orders that you mentioned earlier, literally a wave of orders coming out on immigration, on trade, and many other matters. And so, as a representative of the United States here, we got a lot of questions about what does all this mean and how would the president square this with his clear focus on growth, prosperity, market growth, stock market growth, a good bond market, and bringing down prices. So how do you think about the impact of all these orders and how fast they come out, and how you're going to balance them with that scorecard of being successful in both continuing GDP growth, bringing down inflation, and also having a good stock price appreciation for the American citizen?
Well, I think it's going to actually bring down inflation. It's going to bring up jobs. We're going to have a lot of jobs. We're going to have a lot of companies moving in. You know, Brian, we're at 21%. It was at 40%, and I got it down to 21%, the corporate tax. And it was actually, if you look at state and city, it was in many cases much higher than 40%. I got it down to 21%. And now we're going to bring it down from 21 to 15% if, there's a big if you make your product in the U.S. So we're going to have the lowest, just about the lowest rate. It'll be, the 21 is on the low side worldwide. The 15 is about as low as it gets. And by far the lowest of a large country, a large, you know, rich, powerful country by far, not even a contest. So we're going to bring it down to 15% if you make your product in the USA. So that's going to create a tremendous buzz. We're also probably going back to the 1 year deduction where we deduct, you know, we did that originally, and that was amazing what the impact that had, the 1 year deduction, which built up over a period of time and then it expires. But we're going to go back to that when we do the renewal of the Trump tax plan. We have to get Democrats to approve it. But, you know, if the Democrats didn't approve it, I don't know how they can survive with about a 45% tax increase, because that's what it would be. And so I think they're going to be. We've been working along with them pretty well. I think it's very hard for a political group to say, let's charge people 45% more. So I think we're in good shape. But we're actually doing a reduction for business and small businesses where you're going to bring it down to 15%, which is really something. And by the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
See, that's how you talk to them. That's how you do it. And in case anybody doesn't know, okay, that I believe what he's talking about is that Bank of America refused to do business with like gun dealers and a lot of the what was it? The gold and the coin shops that sell gold and silver coins and stuff like that. That they were making it hard with their bank accounts, a lot of times closing them. If I'm correct, if that's what he's talking about, which was those two plus other conservative organizations where Bank of America started refusing to do business. And he's right. It had everything to do with Biden and that leftist regime. They have been trying to shut the conservatives down at every part in you know, in their walk of life. And it's just like, for a bank to come out and discriminate against people Okay, it's like, what, our money's not good enough for you? Are you really that hateful that you're going to go against somebody's belief, somebody's way of life, to not want their money or do business with them? And I'm glad Trump brought it up, and just put it out there, because that's how a leader is supposed to do it. You're supposed to hold people's feet to the fire, something that the Democrats don't want to do, because they want to hold everybody else's feet to the fire and treat everybody like dirt. But let's continue.
Mr. President, I will say that your friend Gianni said hello, told me to tell you hello, and we look forward to sponsoring the World Cup when it comes, both this summer for the club and next year. So thank you for getting that for the United States.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Brian.
There you go. Shut his ass
Mr.
up.
President, we'll now go to Ana Butin. She's the executive chairman of Banco Santander, one of the big European banks, and also in the U.S. So, Ana.
Mr. President, congratulations on a historic victory. I believe you don't know me as well as my fellow panelists, so a few words. Santander is one of the largest banks in the world by number of customers, 170 million. That's more than my friend Brian or my friend Jamie have. And those...
They fixed the regulation.
That's coming, that's coming.
That was cheeky.
We're a big investor in the United States. We have many million customers, 12,000 employees. We're one of the largest auto lenders. And we recently launched a fully digital bank called Open Bank. We strongly believe banks have a pivotal role in the economy, and we can accelerate growth and help many more customers. That's what we're doing in the United States. So, as Brian pointed out, we very much welcome your focus on deregulation and reducing bureaucracy. So my question is, what are your priorities in this regard, and how fast is this going to happen? Thank you very much.
I think it's going to, thank you and congratulations. I know very much about your bank, and you've done a fantastic job. Congratulations. We are going to move very quickly. We've moved very quickly. We've done things in the last 3 days that nobody thought were possible to do in years. And it's all taking effect. It's going to have a huge impact on the economy, a huge positive impact. Money was being wasted on crazy things. I mean, the Green New Deal was such a total disgrace, how that was perpetrated. And it was conceived of by people that were average students, less than average students, I might add, and never even took a course in energy or the environment. It was just a game. Remember, the world was going to end in 12 years? Remember that? Well, the 12 years has come and gone. It was going to end. It was going to all foam into earth. But, you know, the time has come. These people, and they really scared the Democrats large. I can't say the Republicans. The Republicans maybe could have fought harder to stop it, but it's been a tremendous waste of money. You know, during my 4 years, we had the cleanest air, we had the cleanest water, and yet we had the most productive economy in the history of our country. We had the most productive economy until COVID came. We had the most productive in the history of our country by far, and actually, you can look worldwide. We were beating everybody from China to everybody else. So, and we think we really now, with what we have learned and all of the other things that have taken place, we think we can even far surpass that, actually far surpass it. But we do, one thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. Then if you're a state, we won't have a deficit, we won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years, and it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So, you know, just as an example, with Mexico, we're dealing with Mexico, I think, very well. And we're just, we just want to be treated fairly with other nations, because there's hardly a nation in the world, and I blame this on us, and I blame it on politicians that, for some reason, probably mostly it's stupidity, but you could also say other reasons, but mostly stupidity. They've allowed other nations to take advantage of the U.S., and we can't allow that to happen anymore. We have debt. It's a very small debt when you compare it to the value of the assets that we have, but we don't want to do that. We want to just have debt be obliterated, and we'll be able to do that fairly rapidly. And a lot of good things are going to happen. And honestly, good things are going to happen for the world, and good things are going to happen for the people that are dealing with us, allies and beyond allies. One thing very important, I really would like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else. It's from the standpoint of millions of lives are being wasted. Beautiful young people are being shot in the battlefield. The bullet, very flat land, as I said, and the bullet goes, there's no hiding, and a bullet, the only thing going to stop the bullet is a human body. And you have to see, I've seen pictures of what's taken place. It's a carnage, and we really have to stop that war. That war is horrible. And I'm not talking economy, I'm not talking economics, I'm not talking about natural resource. I'm just talking about there's so many young people being killed in this war, and that's not including the people that have been killed as the cities are being, knocked down building by building. So we really should get that stopped. Likewise, in the Middle East, I think we've made a lot of progress in the Middle East, and I think that's gonna come along pretty well.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we know that the most consequential relationship in the world is between the US and China. US, 28% of the global economy, China close to 20. That's almost half of the global GDP. And we know that you called President Xi Jinping last Friday. We heard that you had a good discussion. How do you see the relationship between the US and China in the next 4 years under your leadership?
All right, before he answers that, it just I don't understand how people could listen to Trump and say that he's up to no good. It just makes perfect sense to anybody, and you would think the Democrats and all these leftists around the world would understand. If you put an end to the wars, okay, and you put an end to all this woke agenda, that's how nations and people start to prosper, okay? Because they value life more. You put an end to the crime, they value life more. They want to do more. You don't let all these big companies go and try to monopolize, like, let's just say the energy sector, okay? You put more money into people's pockets. They wind up doing more, spending more. It helps the banks make more money. It helps the oil companies make more money. And all people could come out and say, the ones that hate Trump, is say, no, everything he's talking about is going to make things worse. How can it make things worse when things are worse already? And we have the wars, and we have all these big conglomerates, and we have all these people that don't want to lower prices, that don't want to give anybody a fair shake. They want to censor everyone. They want to just put people in prison. One of the biggest entities that own a lot of the prisons in America, and if nobody believes me, go check it out yourself, are not even companies in America. Okay, so we have a revolving door of criminals in our country, and most of that money goes to entities overseas. Okay, prison used to be to put the really bad people in and to try to rehabilitate people, to put them back into society and make them productive citizens, but that's not what they want. They want the prison doors open all the time. They want fresh blood, new blood. That's why they'll give a first timer 25 years for something minor, and yet they'll keep releasing someone who's a rapist, who's a murderer, who's a person that likes to steal and assault people, and it just makes you wonder. It's like all this money that's being funneled into our government, and depending on who's in power, is just hundreds of billions of dollars wasted. And a lot of it goes to just dumb shit. Okay? And I'm glad that all these people are asking these questions, and that Trump is basically telling them, you know what? No, we're going to make it better. In other words, you are going to make more money, but we have to give back to the people. We have to lower prices. We got to make things affordable. We got to start building stuff in America. We got to have other countries pay their own way, because it all starts in America. And the only way that's going to work is that it has to be that the American people benefit first. See, a lot of these people that own these big companies and that are rulers in all these other countries, they are living basically, okay, the way they've been living for the past 1,000 years. They have their kings and their queens, and everybody else are the paupers. Okay, and that's the way the Democrats in this country want it. But here comes Trump, and he starts ruffling feathers and saying, you know what? No, I want to give back to the people. People keep coming and saying, they keep coming out and saying, oh, he just wants to line the pockets of the rich. He just wants to line his pockets. I keep telling people, the rich will always be rich. Okay, once in a blue, one of them's going to go broke. But we're the ones that have to find ways to prosper, and we have to put the right leaders in place that's going to help us prosper. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. If Trump didn't want anybody to prosper, number one, and number two, if he was such a racist, why would he give so much money to the historic black colleges? Right there, that is him giving money to the black community for them to prosper financially and also educationally. What kind of a rich racist does that? Okay, and you see the way he's talking to these people. I know a lot of people on the mainstream media and social media are going to say, "Oh, he's only acting like that because he's behind the screen." Listen, Trump is not a keyboard warrior like other people are in regular society. This man is on the world stage. This man is being questioned by what did Schwab say? 3,000 people are out there, or whatever the case is. Okay, leaders and business people. All eyes fixed on one man, Donald J. Trump. Plain and simple. Were all their eyes fixed on Biden? No. Why? Because they knew that no matter what Biden said or promised that he was going to do, they knew that they were going to get over on him and Kamala no matter what. Now all these people are sitting there quiet and they're applauding him because they know that this man means what he says, and there's many people in that audience that want the same thing. They want out of this whole draconian rule of law. Okay, this coming out of the WEF, this coming out of what's the other one? The WHO, or whatever the case is. All these freaking organizations that want to control the world and its populace. Let's continue.
He called me, but
I'm sorry. I'll go back just a little bit. I didn't hear the question.
Relationship between the U.S. and China in the next 4 years under your leadership?
He called me.
There you go.
But I see it very good. I think that we're going to have a very good relationship. All we want is fairness. We just want a level playing field. We don't want to take advantage. We've been having massive deficits with China. Biden allowed it to get out of hand. He's $1.1 trillion deficit. It's ridiculous. And it's just an unfair relationship. And we have to make it just fair. We don't have to make it phenomenal. We have to make it a fair relationship. Right now, it's not a fair relationship. The deficit is massive, as it is with other countries, a lot of Asian countries, actually. But we have deficits that are very big, and we can't keep doing that. So we're not going to keep doing that. But I like President Xi very much. I've always liked him. We always had a very good relationship. It was very strained with COVID coming out of Wuhan. Obviously, that strained it. I'm sure it strained it with a lot of people, but that strained our relationship. But we always had a great relationship, I would say, and we look forward to doing very well with China and getting along with China. Hopefully, China can help us stop the war with, in particular, Russia, Ukraine. They have a great deal of power over that situation, and we'll work with them. And I mentioned that during our phone conversation with President Xi, and hopefully we could work together and get that stopped. We'd like to see denuclearization. In fact, with President Putin, prior to an election result, which was frankly ridiculous, we were talking about denuclearization of our two countries, and China would have come along. China has a much smaller right now nuclear armament than us or field than us, but they're going to be catching it at some point over the next 4 or 5 years. And I will tell you that President Putin really liked the idea of cutting way back on nuclear. And I think the rest of the world, we would have gotten them to follow. And China would have come along too. China also liked it. Tremendous amounts of money are being spent on nuclear. And the destructive capability is something that we don't even want to talk about today because you don't want to hear it. It's too depressing. So we want to see if we can denuclearize, and I think that's very possible. And I can tell you that President Putin wanted to do it. He and I wanted to do it. We had a good conversation with China. They would have been involved, and that would have been an unbelievable thing for the planet.
Mr. President, when you're back here in Davos next year, will there be then a peace agreement with Ukraine and Russia by then?
Well, you're going to have to ask Russia. Ukraine is ready to make a deal. Just so you understand, this is a war that should have never started. If I were president,
Exactly.
It would never have started. This is a war that should have never, ever been started. And it wasn't started during there was never even talk about it. I knew that it was the apple of President Putin's eye, but I also knew that there was no way he was going in, and he wasn't going to go in. And then when I was out, bad things happened, bad things were said, a lot of stupidity all around, and you end up with what you have. Now you have all these bombed out cities. They look like demolition sites with many people killed. I think the thing that you'll see about Ukraine is that far more people have died than is being reported.
Yeah.
And I've seen that. But far more people have died. When you look at a city that's become a demolition site where big buildings have been collapsed by missiles hitting them and everything else, and they say one person was slightly injured. No, many people were killed. Those are big buildings. I was surprised at how that was my business. These are buildings that go 2 and 3 blocks long. They're 20 stories high. They're big, powerful buildings, and they were knocked down, and there were a lot of people in those buildings. That announced that 2 people were injured. That's not true. So I think you're going to find that there were many more people killed in Ukraine in the Ukraine war than anybody has any idea. But if you look now, so many of the people being killed are soldiers just facing each other with guns, rifles, and drones, the new form of warfare, drones. And it's a very sad thing to see. And when you see pictures of the fields that I see, nobody wants to see it. You'll never be the same.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, on behalf of all the 3,000 participants here in Davos. We really underline that joining us the third day in your presidency, live taking questions here is so appreciated, and we are already ready for receiving you next year in person. So thank you very much, and all the best from Davos.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And there you have it, folks. Straight from the horse's mouth. Okay? This is the way Donald Trump does business. He basically put everybody in their place, told them what he wants, how he feels, called out Bank of America. Okay? Basically spoke to one of these oil conglomerates about how he feels that, America needs to drill more like he promised. And basically letting everybody know, listen, you want to do business with America, you guys got to carry your own weight. You want like really good tax breaks, build your products in America. Okay? You want to help people out, like he was addressing the lady at the bank, because she's saying, how are we going to be able to do more business? Well, we got to, bring more money back into America and give it to the people. And that's how these companies grow. You know what I'm saying? But you leave it up to the Democrats, and with them, everything's a problem. Everything's a problem. Things can't be done this way. We got to stop using fuel. We got to stop using regular cars. We got to get into the Green New Deal. We got to save the planet. Give us billions upon billions of dollars, okay, to save the planet, starting in America first. But the whole time, they're over here saving illegal immigrants that are coming in across the border by the millions. So they have the money to help them, but they're telling us that we have to cut back, okay, because of regulations in order to save the planet. And that we're going to be it's all going to start in America, us saving the planet. How are we supposed to save the planet starting in America if you're letting in millions upon millions of people in illegally, helping them with our taxpayer money, giving them money giving them vouchers to buy cars, giving them money to get houses and rent apartments and giving them medical and all that. And yet you've done nothing to bring down the prices on anything. And now the new fear tactic coming from the mainstream media, from social media, okay, all their damn shows, from the politicians, is that if Trump gets into office, he's going to mess all that up and make things worse. Make it worse than what? Than what it is? No, only if Kamala Harris would have stayed in, things would have got worse. Now Trump is in, and Trump is like, you know what? No, we're going to stop doing this. We're going to stop giving money away to fund wars, giving it away to other countries, we're going to stop giving it away by investing in all these all these policies, okay, that have hidden agendas behind it, while the American people go broke, and we empower other people from other nations and help them prosper. It's got to stop. It's totally got to stop. And this is where Donald Trump comes in and says, you know what? No, I'm going to stand in front of 3,000 people, leaders, world leaders, and businessmen and women alike, and I'm going to tell them this is what we're doing in America first. Okay? We're going to stop funding these wars. We're going to open up the oil fields. We're going to bring taxes down. We're going to leave the door open so if anybody wants to manufacture their products in America, we are going to start doing this here in America, and at the same time, start making America first, start making American products, and we're gonna wind up making the people of America rise up from poverty. But that's not the way the Democrats want it, and that's not the way the powers that be around the world want it. They don't want it in America, and they don't want it in other countries. But I'm glad that Trump went out there and he basically told everybody what needed to be said. And I'm sure that there's a lot more that he would like to say, but obviously they only have 4 people asking him questions. But in my opinion, this was good enough for a start. He's only been president for what? Not even a week. Okay? And we got 4 more years of this. And in my opinion, things are going to get better. Regardless of what all these people are saying, they're crying about transgender people not having rights. They're crying about the border, about immigrants being kicked out. They're crying about all that birthright citizenship. They're crying about everything that does nothing to build up America and its people as a whole. Okay? And in my opinion, you know what? Let them cry. Let them cry. Because of their leftist policies, many people have been crying. Many people have been losing their jobs, their homes, family members, you name it, they've been losing it. Why? Because Biden has this agenda with the left that come out and all they know how to do is brainwash people. That's basically what it is. But they call us the cultists. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's what I got for you. Hope you guys like it. If you're new to the channel, you like what you see, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. And don't forget, people, if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. So remember, people, stay vigilant, keep praying for each other, keep praying for the women and the children, pray for this country, pray for your enemies, and pray for Donald Trump. And don't forget to pray for all the missing children. Peace.